Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today I get to show you guys a wonderful build from the designer Norton74. This is the coffee stand, or Andy's Cafe. The build looks like a snapshot directly taken from a modernist or retro architecture design magazine. And this builder in particular excels at creating not just large dioramas, but really capturing an atmosphere and a feel for a time period that has since passed. For this build, and several like it, for the year 2019, Andre Latanzio got Builder of the Year award from Brothers Brick, and the wonderful, cheerful atmosphere that he manages to capture have been noticed by the LEGO group, and his displays have been put up in the LEGO house as well. So before I jump into the greater details of this custom LEGO build, I will say that if you wanted to make this coffee stand or Andy's Cafe for yourself, you can get the instructions at our web store, www.brickvault.toys, where you can build both the original version of this model as you see it right now, and a modified form of the original concept that fits on a 32 by 32 base plate, therefore making it easily integratable with other modular sets or a custom modular city. Each purchase comes with a PDF step-by-step building guide, as well as a digital parts list that lets you upload and order all the pieces you will need to make this custom model all on your own. And a PDF for this particular build for the stickers is also included if you wanted to print any of these graphics onto sticker paper. Getting instructions from us is an absolutely amazing way to help support what we do here at the studio, and it also helps support the designers that we work with, like Andre, or as known on media, Norton74. So let's take a look at the original version of Norton74's Cafe. Everything is built up a brick and a plate high on top of a 48 by 48 base plate, which gives you a lot of space to really play around with the atmosphere of the build. And this is why I think his dioramas are just so darn successful. There are no recommended minifigure placements necessarily. There are, of course, minifigure recommendations to buy, but all the characters that you see planted here are just what I decided looked kind of fun. There's a couple talking on the bench with a few cookies. It looks like a mutual friend has just arrived with his bike and is walking over, while two friends that are just greeting to meet up have been distracted by the cupcakes or cookies that are arriving. One gal is sitting at the bar top who has her coffee while another patron orders, and it looks like a friend has just arrived from riding her Vespa in. Around the side of the coffee shop, we've got a delivery truck that looks like there's gonna be some maintenance. Somebody's adding some oil to the back, and right in front of the truck is a little printout for some of the things that they're selling. There's a small table for treats, and here is a build for the cafe. The weird retro, this is why I think it's a little bit more retro. That pointed arrow is such a classic look. There is a cafe sign. The fork, knife, and cup is actually a print. And then zooming in on the coffee cup itself, you can also see another sticker detailing for Andy's Cafe. As we move down, there's quite an assortment of different cups. Some of these are paper takeaways. You can see a shake, some cookies. And then moving back, there's a little electrical sign for the wires for the telephone poles, and a seagull hanging out on the other top of the pole. I'm just jumping through the details very quickly. There's so many. We've got recycling and trash bags and buckets with spare bottles, more trash buckets on the other side. Some of these are delivery crates that are getting switched out with the truck in the back. And you can also see an AC unit or some type of ventilation behind the coffee mug on the top. And I just like to see that the back of this model is nowhere near blank. There's still plenty of fun details to notice in every little corner of the coffee shop. Now, of course, there's one main aspect of Andy's Cafe that we have neglected, and that is the interior. The roof comes apart in two different pieces. It actually just rests there, doesn't stud in, but it's got a nice way of fitting just in place. And then zooming closer in, there is a stack of a lot of different drinks and or cups and or extra supplies. It's not studded into Andy's Cafe, but instead just sits on the legs there. So it's a loose fitting, and then there's looks like a hidden genie's lamp, while the refrigerator in the back keeps some of the cooler ingredients for shakes and who knows, creamers and stuff like that. Unlike the supply stand, it does stud in on one little piece here. This is what the middle island looks like, a little bit better. I believe that's the espresso machine that you can see from above, but when you turn the whole thing back around, you get a much better idea as to how the front of this area looks. You can see the other cups that are ready to fill, a cash box, and a couple of the employees. Maybe that's Andy for Andy's Cafe. I'm not totally sure. Once again, the open glass windows from all sides has a great way of making the coffee shop really just feel a lot more awake and vibrant. There's so much more light that can enter, and you can really see the inside very well from all directions. And it's probably one of the strongest aspects of this build in terms of it just being a fun and interesting piece to look at. And when I say look at, I really do mean it. This is by far a display piece more than anything else. The truck, of course, can be played with, no problem, but here is a time lapse of me removing everything that is not studded down to the main platform. It is like the majority of things for the most part, and in one way it gives you a lot of freedom on how you want to set up your displays. You can cant things and tilt things ever so slightly, which is a lot of fun. But of course, moving this display piece around means you either have to hold it very delicately with everything set up, or you take most of the things off to pick it up and move it from one place to another. I totally understand why the designer builds in this manner. It's just a lot more freeing in many ways. But if you want to be able to integrate this into a modular city, or just have this next to other modular creator buildings, studding things down by far will make your life a lot easier. And then this is the altered version of the set that of course reduces down the overall information that the original gives you, but on the other hand provides you a lot more ease of movement and also ease of integration. Because the coffee stand is a relatively small island, it fits with a lot of extra space on a 32 by 32, no problem. And that's definitely a big plus because you can still have a lot of patrons hanging out in the open space in front and behind. The telephone wires were taken away in the back because they just wouldn't have fit, especially when you put them next to other modular buildings. There's really no place for those wires to connect anywhere. But the giant retro cafe stand arrow and the whole signage in the front still has plenty of space. In fact, most of everything from the original build still remains, just in less quantity for the most part. So that means one of the benches is still there, so you can have people hanging out outside. A flower pot can stick around as well. All the stools by the bar are still studded in. And even the small sign with prices and drinks still has a place next to the front of the stand. When going behind the building, you can see most, if not all, of the same just extra crates left over, trash cans, bags. And once again, the difference here now is that it is all studded in. So when I pick this model up and I move it around, nothing falls away except for, of course, the still pretty delicate cafe stand sign in the front. Due to its construction, there isn't really a super solid way to get like a flexi tube to run through the middle of it. So when moving it around, I recommend just taking this one piece off, but everything else is still a very solid build. The roof doesn't stud in, but it is still so deeply set into the grooves that it has no way of actually falling off unless you like turn this thing completely upside down, which is just something that I wouldn't recommend for any type of modular creator set or custom modular building. Just because different floors will stud in on other buildings doesn't mean that gravity wouldn't pull them apart as well. Now, I only kind of briefly showed off the classic pickup truck. It's not specifically designed after a certain model, but it kind of looks like a 60s or 70s Chevy or Ford pickup at some point. Nord 74 has this built at the pretty common city scale, which is 6 studs wide, and he manages to fit in a decent amount of detailing for sure. In the back, loose fitting, there are a couple of crates, a gear, and a couple of bags of coffee, as described in the description, and the classic color combo of red with just the through white stripe along the sides and interior of the cab is just a fun stylistic choice. When you look at his production pictures, there's a slightly different build for this truck, and included in the README are these alternate pieces for the front if you wanted to just add a little bit of extra detail here. Not totally necessary. It increases the price by sort of an unreasonable amount, which is why it's not included as default. But anyways, these alternate part suggestions are included in the README if you wanted to take that route. So that is just about it for this classic slice of Americana culture captured in a very detailed Lego model. And remember, if you guys wanted to build this creation for yourself, you can find the instructions at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. Let me know what types of builds you'd like to see in the future. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.